The Chicom chest rig, a great piece of load-bearing equipment beloved by airsofters, LARPers, freedom fighters, and war criminals alike. These are well known for being cheap, affordable, and painfully outdated. From these wooden toggles to these dainty straps, it hasn't exactly kept up with the 21st century. And so in today's video, I'll be discussing a couple tasteful, easy, and non-permanent modifications that you can do to your Chicom chest rig to make it just a bit more comfortable for a shooter from the 21st century. So without further ado, let us begin. So on the Chicom chest rig, one of the first things that strikes you are these wooden toggles. They're probably the most notorious piece of the Chicom chest rig. They're really well known for being really finicky, really annoying, and it makes getting your magazines a whole lot harder, having to mess with these wooden toggles and then pulling your magazines out from these flaps. And so one of the first modifications you can do is literally taking this flap and tucking it in behind the magazine, and it makes taking the magazines out a whole lot easier and a whole lot quicker. And so yes, you do lose magazine retention, but what you lose in magazine retention, you gain in accessibility of your magazines. The next modification we're going to be talking about are going to be these shoulder straps. Now, when it comes to these straps right here, they are going to be quite thin. However, if you're going to be using these with empty magazines to practice or with airsoft magazines, they're pretty inconsequential. However, if you're going to be running real steel 30 round magazines, these can be a little bit heavy and it's going to put a lot of strain on your shoulders, especially if you're going to be using these over long durations of time. And so the modification I did was to add these shoulder pads right here. I literally just got these off an old gym bag, but these can come from anywhere. It can come from an old backpack, an old gym bag, or even some seatbelt cushions. All it does is just add a bit of cushion, and because it's a bit wider, it does distribute the weight just a little bit more. And so not exactly a tactical modification to your Chicom chest rig, but more of a creature comfort to make these rigs a bit more comfortable to use around. In this configuration, the Chicom chest rig is already leaps and bounds better than its original configuration. However, we can still squeeze a little bit more performance out of this chest rig, especially when it comes to these mag pouches. Now, with this configuration already, it's a lot better than having to deal with the wooden toggles and the flaps. However, it still has the issues of swallowing magazines. These mag pouches are quite deep, and especially if you're running shorter mags, like AR-15 magazines or AK-74 magazines, you're gonna have to really dig into these mag pouches to get your mags. And even with the 7.62 AK magazines, you're having to kind of do two motions to get your magazines in a comfortable hold. Now you can either get it in two motions or with one motion in this kind of really awkward state. And so you'd want your magazines to be kind of raised up. And that's what you can do with foam spacers. And right here I just have some pipe insulation, but all you basically do is kind of just tuck it into your chest rig and at the bottom, and your magazines will be raised up. Some people use old socks, some people use cardboards, doesn't really matter. All that matters is it's going to raise your magazines up. And let me actually show you what that looks like. So with the spacers in now, you can see that the magazines are a whole lot more raised up. And with it being so raised up, it makes getting the magazines a whole lot easier and in a better position to rock into your AK. Now, the main concern of having your magazines this raised up is, of course, magazine retention. It's not very good, and so if the schoolyard bully flips you upside down, shakes you for all your school money, yeah, your magazines are gonna go flying out. However, it actually holds your magazines a lot better than you think. It's all really dependent on how high or how big your spacers are going to be. Like with my configuration, I could do jumping jacks. Yeah, they're going to be like going around, but they're not exactly like flying out of my magazine just like that. And so it's really good if you're going to be doing something that's not exactly so dynamic. And so if you're going to be in a shooting competition, if you're going to be doing some airsoft or just general range uses, this configuration should be fine and allows you to get your magazines a whole lot better. But that is the last and final modification I have for the Chicom chest rig. Magazine retention has left the chat. Still here. Alrighty, so that's gonna do it for today's video on modifying your Chicom chest rig for beginners. Now, I wanted this video to be specifically for people who are kind of scared of modifying their rigs, or they don't exactly have the technical know-hows or all the tools to modify these rigs. So you didn't really need to know how to sew, you didn't need a sewing machine for all these modifications. All you needed were basically just common things you had around the house and just some creativity. And so, you know, it's for people who didn't want to mess up their rigs. And the thing about the Chicom chest rigs, or the beautiful thing about it, is even if you messed up, it's all right, because it's just such a cheap rig that you could easily just replace it, and you can really just mess around with these rigs, and I really highly encourage that. So you can go beyond these modifications and make these rigs even better than what they originally are. Now, that being said, these aren't gonna like replace the military stuff. It's not gonna replace a $200 chest rig. It's not all that. These are $30 rigs after all, but it's just gonna make these $30 rigs just a little bit more performance, or add more performance to them, and make it a little bit more usable to people of today's world. But without further ado, thank you guys for watching. If I missed out on anything in this video, please leave it in the comment section down below. It really helps me out, and you know, kind of drives engagement. But thank you guys for watching. If you enjoy this kind of content, be sure to subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Zigzion.
Ну, это не обязательно. Это не обязательно. Снимите меня, дайте матери привет. Дайте матери привет передать, блядь. 2 года не видел. Мама здорова, я жив-здоров. Видишь, живу, блядь.
Конечно, все нормально. Павлик, Саша, приедем, все будет нормально. Хватит, мужики, снимать, поснимали чуть-чуть. Куда?
У меня мама...
Пойдешь?
Я пойду.
А? Проходы?
Как? Вот идешь по дороге, идешь.
Как шли до этого? Сильно ему?
Да там
Он 300 сейчас. Но он живой еще, нет?
Живой, но я ему не успел пармидол. Я
Там это самое, на предохранителе.
Я давай
не
быстрее,
надо.
бля, давить нахуй на зашит. Да не снимай ты, ну все, ладно. Надо сначала отделять.